Do you like horror?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you like it? Like, what specifically about them do you like?
I feel like the movies, and in particular horror, just keeps you on the edge of your seat. You never really know what's gonna happen next, and things will like jump out at you.
Um, in the reading, Why Horror by Noelle Carroll, she talks about that the paradox of horror is an instance of the larger problem, that of explaining the way in which the artistic presentation of normally aversive effects or objects can give you pleasure or can compel our interest. Would you agree with the statement that watching it gives like some sort of pleasure?
I agree with it. I feel like there's a reason why people watch it or are drawn to it. So you kind of have to get a sense of pleasure out of it to watch it. Otherwise, there'd be no point in watching it.
What do you think about horror? Is it that attracts people? Do you think it's like the curiosity of it, like things like ghosts and monsters? There's like a curiosity about it because it's not real life necessarily.
I think there's something about exploiting people's fears that makes them want to watch it just because you know it's not happening to you, so you're safe in the comfort of your own home, but you're watching it happen to someone else, which is just as scary.
That's good. Would you prefer to read or watch horror?
I'd rather watch it. I feel like the music adds to the movie, and I feel like I just get more of effect of it watching it.
Have you ever read horror?
I have.
Which,
Which I don't love, but it is interesting too. But it's just not something I'd rather watch a movie about it.
yeah, the music gives it more of like an essence of scariness.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite horror film is, or the favorite genre of horror?
I like the I kind of like the movies like The Ring, where it's like almost like a fictional character that's coming out to get you, and it has some like story behind it.
Yeah. Do you ever get like really scared where you just freak out and can't sleep that night?
Typically not. I usually watch like scary movies like pretty early in the day, and I'll be up for like a few hours anyway, just like doing other things, and I kind of forget about the movie before I go to bed.
Do you think there's a difference in watching horror in a movie theater as opposed to being in the comfort of your own home?
I definitely do. Particularly if you're watching the movie alone in the comfort of your own home, then it's like you're
Yeah.
there by yourself. Whereas in a movie theater, you go back out, and it's kind of like you go back out into reality again. So,
Makes sense. What's something that you don't like about horror films?
sometimes I don't like the gruesomeness of it. It's just a
Okay.
lot of blood and guts sometimes, and I'm just not really into that.
Would you say that about like murderous kind of horror films or like zombie horror films in that way?
More so zombie horror.
um, what would it take to make a really good horror films? Like what aesthetics would you need?
I think you have to have the music perfectly paired up with the movie. That way, if there's like slow music, you know something's about to happen, or if the music speeds up, you like can kind of predict what's happening next.
Yeah. What would you say about like the characters and like would you prefer to have it based on like ghosts, some type of like religious factor or like monsters or what kind of genre of horror would you
I
like
kind of
better?
almost like the more realistic horror, where not necessarily like I'm not really into like the religious type of horror because that's just a little too much. But I'm more into like something that can actually happen to someone.
Like
Or
what?
like
What would you say?
that movie where she like where people get kidnapped and stuff like that, or like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like stuff like that that has happened or it could easily happen.
So these like suspenseful factors, not necessarily this like unrealistic like supernatural world.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, thank you.
you're welcome.